The Sustainable Development Goals, called briefly SDGs, are a new universal set of goals, targets and indicators that member states of United Nations will be expected to use to frame their agendas and political policies over the next 15 years. The SDGs follow and expand on the Millennium Development Goals, which were agreed by governments in 2001 and expired at the end of 2015. In the discussion on the results of the MDGs, there is a broad agreement that while they provided a focal point for governments, a framework around which they could develop policies and oversee aid programs designed to end poverty and improve the lives of poor people, they were too narrow. However, as we reach the end of the MDGs period, the world community has some reasons to celebrate. Thanks to the concerted global, regional, national and local efforts that the goals have raised, the lives of millions have been saved and conditions for many more have been improved. The data prove that with targeted interventions, sound strategies, adequate resources and political will, even the poorest countries can make dramatic and unprecedented progress. Let's see which are the results of the Millennium Goals. Extreme poverty has declined significantly over the last 2 decades. In 1990, nearly half of the population in the developing world lived on less than $1.25 a day. That proportion dropped to 14% in 2015. The primary school net enrollment rate in the developing regions has reached 91% in 2015, up from 83% in 2000. Many more girls are now in school compared to 15 years ago. The developing regions as a whole have achieved the target to eliminate gender disparity in primary, secondary and tertiary education. In Southern Asia, only 74 girls were enrolled in primary school for every 100 boys in 1990. Today, 103 girls are enrolled for every 100 boys. The global under-5 mortality rate has declined by more than half, dropping from 90 to 43 deaths per 1,000 live births between 1990 and 2015. Over 6.2 million malaria deaths have been averted between 2000 and 2015, primarily of children under 5 years of age in sub-Saharan Africa. The global malaria incidence rate has fallen by an estimated 37% and the mortality rate by 58%. Globally, 147 countries have met the drinking water target, 95 countries have met the sanitation target, and 77 have met both. Internet penetration has grown from just over 6% of the world's population in 2000 to 43% in 2015. As a result, 3.2 billion people are linked to a global network of content and applications. Despite all these results, the 8 Millennium Goals are accused to have failed to consider the root causes of poverty and overlooked gender inequality as well as the holistic nature of development. The goals made no mention of human rights and did not specifically address economic development. In theory, they apply to all countries. In reality, they were considered targets for poor countries to achieve with finance from wealthy states. Conversely, every country will be expected to work toward achieving the SDGs. Unlike the MDGs, the UN has conducted the largest consultation program in its history to gauge opinion on what the SDGs should include. 70 countries has participated to the first meeting in March 2013 and published the final draft in July 2014. The draft was presented to the UN General Assembly in September. Member state negotiations followed, and the final wording of the goals and targets, and the preamble and the declaration that comes with them were agreed in August 2015. Within the goals are 169 targets. Targets under Goal 1, for example, include reducing by at least half the number of people living in poverty by 2030 and eradicating extreme poverty. Under Goal 5, there's a target on eliminating violence against women, while Goal 16 has a target to promote the rule of law and equal access to justice. But the job is not finished yet. The goals and targets will be followed up and reviewed using a set of global indicators. These will be complemented by indicators at the regional and national levels, which will be developed by member states. Where national and global baseline data does not yet exist, the outcomes of work undertaken for the development of the baseline for those targets will be used. In order to identify a global indicator framework for the goals and targets, the United Nations Statistical Commission gathered in 2015 and established an interagency expert group on SDG indicators, whose composition reflects equitable regional representation. The proposal of the framework, called Global Indicator Framework, is expected to be published in 2016. This will represent a fundamental milestone and hopefully would raise new and important efforts to reach a fully sustainable development of our society.